Hi there, and welcome to Small Steps Saturday, where every single week I teach you a new small step you can implement into your life to reduce overwhelm and stress and to make everything so much easier. Today's small step is a little bit more challenging, but it has a huge payoff. Today I'm going to be talking about meal planning and creating grocery lists. Now, listen, I have to tell you that this is the biggest time and energy saver in the long run, but it does take a little bit of upfront work. And today I'm going to walk you through exactly how I create a 4-week rotation meal plan that I always use. Now, have I made some substitutions here or there? Absolutely. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that too. This will not only keep you from spending time and creative energy thinking about what's for dinner and making that grocery list and going through this process every single night and every single week over and over again. But it's also going to help you save a bundle of money because you will no longer forget to thaw things out. You will no longer get stuck ordering out. And you can also buy a lot of your food on sale because you'll know what's coming up in your meal plan. So when you see something go on sale, you'll know exactly when you'll be able to use it or if you'll be able to use it at all. And this will drastically reduce food waste. I cannot emphasize enough how valuable this particular task is. So, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do it. Now, remember to start where you're at. So, if you've never had a meal plan, if you've never had a grocery list, you can absolutely take everything you're learning here and apply it to simply making a 1-week meal plan. Maybe you just want to plan a few meals for your week. And we're going to talk also about how to do that. So, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to think about is what your family needs when it comes to a meal plan. And most of this is really going to be addressing dinner, which I'll explain more as we go along. You want to think about whether your family eats leftovers, whether you want that to be part of your meal plan so that you know how many meals you need to plan for. In addition, you want to think about how much time you have for cooking and prep. So, really considering whether you have an activity night that you know you're running around and you either need an on the go meal or a crock pot meal. You want to think about if you're coming home later and you don't have a lot of time to cook, how exactly are you going to get that done? And in addition, some meals lend themselves to meal prep all in one day than others. So think about your unique circumstances so that you can pick the recipes that are going to best fit your life. And listen, there are a variety to choose from. If you're looking for recipes for activity nights, you can check out on the go recipes. And by the way, I highly recommend that you get really creative with that. Or you can look at crock pot recipes, soups, things like that, that heat up really well or that stay really well. And it's really flexible about when you eat them. If you get really busy and you eat after practice, it's not a problem at all. Or you might want to consider leftovers for that night. In addition, if you're looking for ultra quick meals, you can check out meals that are sheet pan meals or that are bowls or that are one pan meals. Those can make a huge difference, along with things like casseroles, which are super quick. You can prep them in advance and just throw them right in the oven. So, really challenge yourself to think about what your real life looks like. Listen, you might love cooking. I love to cook. But I know on weeknights, I don't have hours to do it. I just don't. You might really hate cooking and you want something that's really simple or you want something that takes less time. Remember that the more that you cook, the easier it will become and the faster your prep will be. This is another incredible benefit of having a meal plan. When you create the same recipe over and over and over again, it becomes really, really simple to make that recipe. And don't worry, because I'm going to share some of my favorite recipes in the free resource below. And you can start off with some of our family's favorites to get you a kickstart on your meal planning. The next thing you want to do is create a list of family favorites and family approved recipes. Maybe it's not a favorite, but everybody will eat it or everyone will eat some version of it. When you have that list that you already know, it makes it a lot easier to plan out your meals. Now, if you have not spent a lot of time cooking and so you're not quite sure what your family likes, it can also be helpful to just include certain types of food you know your family likes. They love pizza, they love tacos, they love pasta. You know that no one in your house will eat pork or will eat seafood. These things are really, really helpful because they can help you to really fine tune where you're looking for recipes and what kinds of recipes you're looking for. You can basically put anything with recipe in Google and find a recipe. So it can be really, really helpful to do that. I also love to use the website allrecipes.com because they allow you to specify the type of recipe you want or the type of ingredients you want, and also allow you to put in what you don't want. And as a person with food allergies, I'm gluten free and I'm dairy free. And my two daughters are vegan and one is also gluten free. It's really helpful for me to be able to look for recipes and say, this can't have milk, or this can't have flour in it, or this can't have meat. It makes it so much easier for me to find really great recipes. In addition, I do tend to do a lot of substitution. You can substitute nut milk for milk, things like that. If you're interested in learning how to substitute in recipes, just let me know in the comments below and I'll go ahead and make that video for you to make that process a little bit easier. It doesn't have to be such a difficult thing to do. Once you have your list of family favorites, you kind of want to jot down if they meet any of your family's requirements. Meaning, my husband likes to eat leftovers every single day for lunch. So I always make sure that I put the letters LO next to any meal that would create good leftovers for him. That way, I know to space those meals out throughout the week so that he has the leftovers he needs for lunch. You can also put things like CP for crock pot meals or UQ for ultra quick meals, something that just indicates in your mind that this is going to fit into your schedule in a way that's going to be really helpful and easy for you. So when you're making your schedule and you're thinking Wednesday nights, we're so busy, you can choose a crock pot meal or an ultra quick meal or an on the go meal and make sure that it fits into your real life. It does not work, y'all, if you plan to make something that you know you can't make because of soccer practice. So having that little key code is really, really helpful to make it quick and easy when you get to the task of placing your meals into your schedule. The next step is to create a go-to lunch, breakfast, and snack plan. Now, really, everybody in my house is pretty cool with having a go to breakfast, lunch, and snack because we've always done it that way. If your family is not, that's okay. Feel free to have a couple, preferably a couple shelf stable items that you can easily get 1 week on, 1 week off, and keep in the pantry. Things like eggs for breakfast, smoothies for breakfast, cereal for breakfast, or even things like pancake mix or French toast. Those are super, super simple to just put on your grocery list and get the supplies for whenever you happen to be at the store. If you have staple items like flour, you can actually leave those off your list altogether. So if you're into making pancakes from scratch, you don't need to worry about that. You can add them as you're running low on them, but they don't need to go in your consistent meal plan. In addition, we like to consider getting a couple snacks that are crunchy or salty and a couple snacks that are on the sweeter side because I know that we all have different preferences at different times. We tend to lean into things like trail mix or dark chocolate for sweeter snacks and go with things like nuts or popcorn for healthier snacks or for saltier snacks. And that's really helpful because those things stay good for a long time. I also always like to add some sort of fruit or vegetable snack to my list. Those can be seasonal, so sometimes I just keep a running list of those, or I know in the summer I always add cherries to my list. In the fall, I always add Honey Crisp apples, and I also add heirloom tomatoes because in our family, we can eat those any time. So I just add them as the season occurs, but it can be helpful to have a list so that you have something to go to if you need it as a reminder. Now it's time to get down to it. So you're going to grab your cookbooks, grab your phone. I know a lot of us get recipes from the internet. So grab those cookbooks, grab your phone, get something to drink or a little snack for yourself. And my personal favorite is to do this when everyone's in bed and to turn on my guilty pleasure TV while I do it. So you'll always find me making my meal plan and watching Real Housewives. I binge it. I know that I'm going to start on my meal plan. I usually actually revise my meal plan about once every 6 months to once a year. And so I'm like, yeah, I think my meal plan needs a little touch up. And I collect episodes of Real Housewives and I watch it while I do this because, y'all, it's such a nice treat. I actually watch Real Housewives while I do a lot of things. Just being honest here. Okay, so I always create my meal plans on my computer in a Word doc because it makes it easier to edit them later. And so when I create a new meal plan, which I'm about to do, I can easily edit what's already in there. Now, I'm going to start from scratch so I can show you exactly how this is done if you've never had a meal plan before. But typically, I would start with the framework I already have because there's really no need to replace meals that I know we love and I know we want to keep on the plan. So I typically do it that way. If you start with a Word doc, it's just very, very easy for you to create your grocery list and also for you to edit it later. So you're going to open a document and I label mine monthly meal plan. That's just what I label it. It makes it nice and simple for me. You can label it whatever you like, whatever you'll remember. You're going to start off by jotting down week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, for however many weeks you're planning for. And under each of those, you want to add the days of the week. So Sunday through Monday, Monday through, it does not matter, but all the days of the week you want to be under each week heading. And at the bottom, under the days of the week, you want to make sure that you add what your go-to breakfast, lunches, and snacks are going to be for that week. That gives you the option to change those every week if you want to. But even if you keep them the same, you still want to put them at the bottom of each week. And the reason is this is going to be helpful when you create your grocery list. And we'll get to that soon. Just put them down there. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to think about which days of the week you need which types of meals. You can indicate this using your key, or you can use them blank and just be mindful of it as you're creating your meal plan. Now, listen, I understand that soccer practice or dance class might not be year round, but it's not going to hurt to still have those quick meals or those pot meals in your schedule. In addition, remember that if the schedule changes in the spring, say that you currently have crock pot meals on Monday and Wednesday, but in the spring, your kids do different activities and those activities are on Tuesday and Thursday, you can just swap your days. You don't even need to drastically change your meal plan to accommodate for that. And it's not like you're going to be at some point thinking, oh, I really wish I didn't have such an easy meal scheduled for Tuesday evening. Please, you'll always be glad you have a couple easy meals in your schedule. So think about that right now as you're looking at your schedule. Then I want you to look at that list of family favorite meals and find the ones that are compatible with the types of things you need on which days, right? In my family, spaghetti is a big fave and it's super quick and easy to make. You can even make the meat in the sauce earlier in the day or on the weekend and put it in the fridge and just boil pasta, right? So that's always a great meal for us on a really busy activity day. I like to put family favorites every other week. There's only one that you'll see recur every single week in the schedule. It's super easy to make. It takes like a half an hour. It's my husband's absolute favorite. It provides leftovers. So it goes on the schedule every week and he never gets sick of it. I'm not saying he never will, but he asked me to bump it to every week. So, and I love it too. So it's an every week meal. It's ancho beef. And it's, by the way, I put the recipe, my modification to the recipe in the resource that you can get for free that includes my favorite meals. At any rate, this is one of the meals that recurs every single week, but you'll notice that in my schedule, meals typically recur every other week at most because we tend to get sick of them if we cook them too much. And so I try to space them out a little bit so I don't have to change the meal plan all the time because everybody gets sick of the meals. Don't worry if you're starting with a 1 week meal plan and you're repeating it every single week. As you get more practice, you'll be able to add more meals, and that will allow you to switch things up a little bit. And later, I'm going to tell you exactly how to substitute your meals, and that is a great way to go as you're building out your meal plan. Once you've placed your family favorites into your meal plan, you'll need to fill the other days. Now, it's completely cool to fill the day with leftovers, or this is the day you order pizza. Nothing at all wrong with that. Go right ahead and add those days in as well. Next, you want to add in some recipes that maybe you like, but they're not favorites. Maybe it's a new recipe that you want to try because you think everyone will like it. It's something that your friend makes and you want to add it in. Or maybe it's more complicated and time consuming, so it doesn't fit in your schedule as often. Add those in on the other days. You may find that you don't have enough recipes to fill in your whole meal plan. That's okay. This is a great time to look through the recipe books or to use all recipes or another recipe site to find some recipes to add in. Now, remember that you want to keep these recipes simple. You want the ingredients to be as familiar as possible, and you want them to be pretty reliable. So you kind of know, yeah, my kids are definitely going to eat chicken, but you maybe don't want to add in an exotic new thing that you've never tried before. That you might want to make a one off substitute until you try it and you know you like it. In my family, this is exactly what happened with butter chicken. My whole family was against eating any kind of Indian type food or curry food, and I added in butter chicken as a one off item. And I actually put it on the meal plan for 1 day a month. And the whole family went berserk. They loved it. So now I've been looking for more recipes like that to add into our family meal plan. So this is a good idea to just do maybe once a month you try that recipe. Maybe you make it a substitute, whatever it is, but this is a nice way to try something new in your family. Now, what you have here, is your meal plan. If you ran out of recipes, it's okay to cut back to a week or 2 weeks because that's what you really know. It's not a problem to start off slow and add in. We're going to not make this overwhelming or demanding for ourselves. Double check your meal plan and make sure that it aligns with your family's needs, that you have enough leftover meals or enough crock pot meals. Make sure that you are comfortable with your ratios, right? So if you want to have a meatless day every week, make sure that you have one in there or swap out for one. If you don't want to eat beef 2 nights in a row, that would be me. Make sure that that is accounted for. In addition, I like to make sure that my family is eating fish or seafood at least once a week. So I always double check my meal plan to make sure that that is in my plan and I move things around accordingly. So you just want to fine tune those meals. Don't be afraid to take something out and replace it or to move something to a different week. You'll see me do that quite a bit as I fine tune exactly how I want this to look for my family and for our nutritional needs. I always include sides with my meal plan because sometimes I notice, for example, that my meal plan has us eating broccoli 4 nights in a row. So I may even move things around or change a side dish so that we're not eating exactly the same side every single day. Now, don't get me wrong, my family will eat broccoli every day. They really will, but I like to mix up the veggies and mix up some of the sides. You'll also, by the way, notice that we eat a lot of rice in our family. You don't have to eat that much rice. You don't even have to include a starch in your meals if you don't want to. It's really important that you include a vegetable, but those starches are absolutely options. And remember that your protein source can absolutely be a plant protein or it can be an animal protein, depending on your own nutritional needs and what's available to you locally. Now that you have your standard meal plan, if you'd like, you can add alternative meals by adding them at the very bottom of your page. So you want to go ahead and add any alternatives. Let's say you know that once a month you like to have a certain thing, or you know that in the summer you grill more. So you want to add more grilled meals to swap out in the summertime. Go ahead and add those at the bottom of the page and add the ingredients for them as well. You want to make sure that you include those ingredients so that when you do swap them in, it's really easy to move your new ingredients into your grocery list in place of the meal that you're substituting. Now, don't worry about including staple ingredients. I never include ingredients like spices or oils or anything like that because I add those as we're running low. So we keep a family grocery list on the counter. And as we run low on staple ingredients, we simply add them there. I do that also with things like peanut butter because we don't necessarily need to buy that weekly. So anything that you wouldn't buy weekly, even if it's for breakfast or lunches, you can actually just add as needed when you get ready to go to the grocery store. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to open however many weeks, that many more documents. So you're going to see me open 4 new blank documents, and I'm going to label each of those documents by cutting and actually, I'm going to copy and paste the week one and all the days, including the breakfast, lunches, and snacks. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to move it into a new document. I'm going to paste it into the new document. Now, I like to have my meal plan at a glance saved. And that means that I don't want to actually cut it out. I want to just copy it over so that I can have the whole 4 week meal plan saved in my computer. So I save that and I copy and paste. I do that for all 4 weeks. Now, what you'll want to do is save this document. This is your meal plan go-to template. I use this sometimes because I forget where I am in my meal plan. So, as I'm going to plan out for the next week or head to the grocery store for the next week, I can't quite remember if I used plan 2 or plan 3 last week 2 or week 3 last week. And so I'll go back through and look again. Now you're going to see me open 4 new documents. These documents are for each week, so I can create a grocery list for that week of unique or novel things that I need to buy or things I just buy every single week. When I do this, I'm going to copy and paste each week's content from my meal plan document. I'm going to copy from the title week 1 all the way down through the end of the breakfast, lunches, and snacks. And I'm just going to put that into a new document for each and every week. This is what I'm going to use to create my grocery list. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my recipes to create the list for my dinners. So, when I go through my recipes, I only include things that are unique to that recipe that I would need to buy for that recipe specifically. So, I don't include things like garlic or anything like that, but I will include things like onions. So, I buy my garlic pre minced in a big jar, and that way I don't have to buy garlic bulbs every week. But I will include things like onions because I buy those specific to the recipe. By the way, big tip here, you can actually buy pre-cut frozen onions and they work in almost every single recipe. Just letting you know that in case you hate cutting onions as much as I do. In which case, if you buy a bunch of them when they're on sale, you don't actually need to put them on your weekly list because you would just add them when you're running low, or you would just pick them up anytime you see them on sale. Sometimes that works as well. You want to add anything unique. So I tend to add things like um, meat, any produce that is necessary that has to be fresh. I add that. And I also will often add side things. Right now, there have been shortages at the grocery stores, so I can't buy certain things in bulk that I like to have on hand. So I'm having to buy them weekly, and I had to add them into my grocery list. When you add the ingredients for your dinners to your grocery list, make sure you write next to them what day of the week it's for. So M for Monday, T for Tuesday, whatever that actually looks like for you, it makes it much easier to substitute. So if you decide, for example, that on Thursday you're going to make something totally different or something from your substitution list, when you substitute, you just go through your list, you delete anything that's a Thursday, and you add in the things that are in your substitution grocery list to your grocery list. Now, if it's not a permanent substitution, just print that list, but do not save it. Once I have all of the ingredients for my recipes added with their day indicator, I add in the ingredients necessary for lunches, breakfast, and snacks. Next, I add in anything I buy on a weekly basis. We all have those recurring things or household products that we know we need to buy regularly, and I'll add those in as well. I do not add in things like paper products because those aren't weekly purchases. I typically add those to my grocery list. As we're running low on toilet paper, for example, I just write that into my grocery list that's on my counter, and I update my grocery list with those few add-ins. And by the way, it's usually like 5 or less things that I have to pop onto my list. But I always make sure that if something is on sale that we use regularly, that will stay good, that is shelf safe, we just buy it then. So anything like cleaning products or paper products, I just cruise down that aisle. If something's on sale, I just throw it in the cart so that I have it and I don't have to spend full price on it because let's face it, who wants to do that? Now, what you want to do is put your list in order. So, as much as you can put your list in order of the way your grocery store is laid out, that's going to be the best idea. If you buy things from different stores, then you want to separate your list based on what store you usually get things at and put them in order of that store. At the very least, put like things with like things, meaning generally all breakfast foods are in the same aisle, right? Ethnic foods are all in the same aisle. So if you have tacos and spaghetti on your list this week, you want to put those items by each other. And you probably want to put those items grouped together as well. So pasta, pasta sauce, refried beans, taco shells, that type of thing is going to make it so much easier to shop. It's going to save you so much time and so much energy. And y'all, if you've gotten to this point, that's it. You are done. Every single week when I get ready to head to the grocery store or when I'm prepping to go to the grocery store, I just take my computer, I carry it into my kitchen. I do a quick glance at my fridge and my pantry so that I can take off anything on my list that I might already have. It does happen occasionally that something comes up and a meal I plan to make doesn't get made. And when that happens, I might find that I still have that pasta sauce in my pantry. So rather than buying it, I just delete it from my list. In addition, once I see the pasta sauce, I also know that I bought everything for that meal and I can delete all the other things that go along with it that aren't perishable. And that prevents me from buying extra or having an overfull pantry, which, by the way, I'll be honest, I still have an overfull pantry, partly because I am feeding all different people at all different times. And I love to cook so much that I always have random, unusual ingredients in my pantry. Cooking and baking are kind of my jam. Then the other thing you want to do is make sure you check that family grocery list that's sitting on your counter and add in anything that you are running low on, whether it's condiments or spices or paper products, whatever it is that you might be running low on, you can add it right into the list. Now, I have to tell you this. In my family, we have a rule. All of our kids are driving age now. All of our kids are adults. The rule is if you don't put it on the list, it's your job to go get it. I do not make extra runs to the grocery store. It's just not a thing. When our kids were younger, sometimes if one of us had to run to the grocery store, whatever job we were doing, they then had to help us with. It is very, very inconvenient to have to keep running to the grocery store. It's everyone's job in the house to keep up that grocery list and to make sure that items that are needed in the home go on the list. If you're old enough to use it yourself without help from a grown up, you're old enough to put it on the list. And that's just the reality. But y'all, usually the person who missed it with putting things on the list the most was my husband. Because still to this day, he will walk through the room and he will say, "Oh, by the way, we need napkins." Okay. I am not in charge of the things he needs. That's just the reality. So if he doesn't put it on the list and the napkins don't get bought at the store, he's the one who has to go get them. It's okay to create boundaries about meal planning, shopping, and cooking. It really is okay to say, I'm willing to modify this meal, but I'm not willing to make 5 different meals. We have found that little hacks like blending the pasta sauce in the blender so it's not lumpy go a really long way in creating those modifications to make everyone a little happier with dinner. In addition, I will tell you this, we do not include anything in our meal plan that anyone in our house absolutely despises. If there's something on our meal plan that we don't like, that someone doesn't like, I always make sure to include sides that are pleasing to that person or palatable to that person. And I want to make sure that you know that if your child or your husband hates that specific meat and so they only eat the sides, that's okay. They are going to be fine if they don't have that protein in their meal. It is going to be okay if your child skips their vegetables tonight because it's the one they hate the most. That is really okay. You don't have to cook another vegetable. You can just let them skip it. But in general, we try to avoid anything that anyone hates. We just added meatloaf back to our meal plan because my oldest gags at just the sight of meatloaf. So we never made it in our house. And that's okay. That makes it much easier for me to do the cooking and for my husband to do the cooking. Oh, and by the way, It's all right to make one of those days the days that your kids or your husband plan the meal and to include them in the meal planning process. You can rotate the meal cooking and you can do this entire exercise with your family so everyone picks the meals that they prepare as well. And then you cut your workload way down. All right, make this work for you. Make this work for your family because having a meal plan and knowing exactly what you're buying at the grocery store is an absolute game changer. And believe me, you will love it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Let me know if you want the recipe substitution video, and I can make that as well. In addition, I can also make a video about modifying recipes to suit different food allergies or different dietary plans for those of you who have that need in your home. I know that makes it extra difficult to meal plan, and that would also cover picky eating because, I mean, that's a real thing, learning how to navigate that. Remember that you are amazing. You deserve to live a life that you absolutely love. You deserve to be nourished well, to have a family who's nourished well, and to not have to spend all of your time doing this and to stress about it because you need that time and energy to build that amazing life that you deserve to have. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel because I am always sharing new amazing ways to make everything in your life easier, reduce stress and overwhelm, accomplish your goals, and build that dream life that you are deeply satisfied with and that you deserve. Bye, everyone.